Now the sidebar is placed in an aside element. And a sidebar is usually made up of widgets. So each widget, in our case, will be represented or will be wrapped in a div. We'll make it a div with a class of sidebar widget. Let's keep things simple. Okie doke. Now for the sidebar, let's see what we got. We have a search. We have this bit, connect with us. We have the add widget and a simple list widget. So let's go ahead and quickly write some markup for those. So the first one is search. So I'm gonna do an H4. This will be the title of the widget. We'll do search, and we'll do a form with an ID, a search form. Method's gonna be post. Actually, for the search form, the method is usually get, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll use that. Okay, and the markup for this is pretty simple. We have an input, type's gonna be text, value. We'll do an initial value of search or something like this. And we can do this, placeholder search. And we can get rid of the value. Okay, and then we have an input, type's going to be hidden, and value is going to be submit. Now this will be used to submit the form. When you type something, you hit enter, and the form will be submitted. Okay, now placeholder again is an HTML5 attribute, so it's only gonna work in a specific set of browsers. Internet Explorer doesn't really like it. So placeholder usually means when I click inside it and I start typing, that initial value will disappear. Delete it and it's gonna reappear. Now kind of a workaround for this is to use JavaScript. So instead of placeholder, we'll use a value first, search, and then we're gonna say on blur, we'll do if this value equals nothing, then this value, this value will equal search. And we'll do the reverse on focus if this value equals search, then this value equals nothing. Okay, let's test it first. Yes, it works. So let me just quickly explain this. We are setting an initial value of search on blur, which means when we move the focus away from the input, so basically when we're not typing in it, we check if we have no value, then we'll revert back to search. And then on focus, which means when we click inside it, if the value is search, which means we haven't typed anything, we'll get rid of it and we'll allow the user to type in. Now this might seem a bit complicated to do compared to the other option, which is using placeholder. But remember, placeholder doesn't work in all browsers. So if you view the page in an older browser, you're not gonna, you won't know that it's a search box. It's just gonna display no text. So that's why I chose to go for this option right here. Okay, so search is complete. Let's move on. Let's create another widget. This time it's gonna be for the connect, for this one, the connect with us. So div with a class of sidebar widget. We'll follow the same structure, h4. We'll do connect with us. We have a small introductory paragraph that I'm just going to copy. And then we have a list of social icons. So I'm going to say ul with a class of social icons, list item times 3, each with an anchor tag. Okay, and the anchor tags, I'm gonna give a class each one of like dig, Facebook, and Twitter. When we get to the actual WordPress integration, we'll build a custom widget for this and we'll complete the rest of the options. But for now, I just want to make sure the layout doesn't break or anything and it's showing up properly. Okay, good. Next up, and we're almost finished for with this video, let's do the add widgets. The two widgets right here, the two ads and the 260 ad. So div class sidebar widget, okay. Let's see, we'll do h4, we'll say add 125 125, and then we basically have a list. All right, so ul with a class of add 125, and we'll do one list item with the following structure. Figure, we'll do a class of add block, which, if you remember, it's the same class we used for the top ad. It will have the same styling basically. Okay, so figure add block, and this will contain an anchor tag with an image. Okay, source. Let's do 125 by 125. Alt is going to be add 125. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this. And this is basically the same thing. Okay, for the next widget, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do add 260 by 120, I think it was. Yes. And I'll just do the same structure with a list. And we'll say add 260. And again, figure class add block, and this one will just modify the image size. Okay, and finally, for the very last widget, it's a very simple list. So div with a class is sidebar widget. Again, I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, simple list. And we have a basic list. And actually, I'm going to copy the navigation list right here. And I'm doing this because we also have a couple of nested lists, and that's really useful to, it's very useful to have in the sidebar. Okay, there we go. Let's have a look. So the two ads here, search widget and the simple list widget. Okie doke. Let's have a look. So far we took care of the header, the main content with the articles. We did some different markup for a standard post, a quote post format, and a link post format. We did the navigation, the sidebar, and the only thing that remains is the footer. Okay, now the footer has a very simple markup, so let's do that quickly. Okay, so let's see, and container right here. We'll say footer, and we'll use the actual footer tag. Now the footer is composed, or we can actually split it in two. We have a widget area right here and the copyright area. So let's do that. Div with a class of footer widget area, which will contain div with a class of container, because we must center the content. So div container, and this container will have a row, and the widgets in the footer will be divided in 3, 3, and then 6. So basically 2 halves, and the first half is also divided in 2. So we'll do div with a class of span 3 times 2 plus div with a class of span 6. Okay, a lot of markup here, so quickly let's clean up and comment it. And this will be the container, and then footer widget area. Okay, so span 3. This will contain like a basic list. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy the markup from above. And I'm gonna do a special class footer sidebar widget. Okay, the next one will be the social icons. So again, copy this, and place it right here. And finally, the last one will be a basic widget with a title. So a basic widget with a title and just some text. Okay. So let's see, div span 6. I forgot to comment this. Okie doke. So before we finish with the actual footer, let's do one more thing. We'll say copyright container. All right, and then we'll do like a link that's gonna go to the very top of our document, and I'm gonna give it a class of top link footer. Go to top. Okay, and then short paragraph with some random copyright information. Okay, the last thing, let's go on the top. Let's give this an ID of top, the header. So when we click the link, yeah, it's gonna go to the very top of the page. So this is it. We finished with the markup for our index page. In the next videos, we'll start writing some CSS for it. And we're gonna take all of these images, export them, and get them ready to use in our markup. So thank you for watching so far. I will see you in the next videos. Bye bye.